Let's go to another really, in my opinion, interesting game in bowl season that doesn't involve the college football playoff. I want to talk about the Cotton Bowl, which is Friday, December 29th. The game is obviously being played at Jerry World. The Ohio State Buckeyes taking on the Missouri Tigers. Missouri was a 2.5-point favorite early in the process. As I'm recording, they're down to a 1-point favorite, so money is coming in on Ohio State. And I kind of have a take on this game. I think it's kind of must win for Ryan Day. I'll explain in a minute. Before we get to it, though, the big news coming into this one, every bowl game has a narrative outside of the narrative. It's the debut of Devin Brown as your Ohio State starting quarterback, right? So you come out of the Michigan game, you lose for a third straight year. Kyle McCord throws 2 interceptions. And what becomes obvious is that, fair or not, he's kind of the fall guy for what happened against Ohio State or against Michigan. Now, I watched that game. I thought it was a joint effort in losing to Michigan. I thought Ryan Day coached scared. I thought the defense on the biggest drive of the year, Michigan took 7 minutes off the clock. And I thought Kyle McCord wasn't very good throwing 2 interceptions in that game. And I thought all season long he was not good. So for people, well, you clearly didn't watch him all year. I know he's not CJ Stroud. I know he's not Justin Fields. I get all that. I didn't think he was the biggest reason why you lost the game, but whatever. It's clear that he was the guy that is being blamed for it. And so because of it, he is now a member of the Syracuse Orange. Shout out to Syracuse, who is, by the way, all of a sudden very interesting. But I just bring it up because he is out as the starting quarterback. Devin Brown is in. Devin Brown got major snaps in the first 2 games of the season, 12 of 22 passing, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So not a ton of game experience, but listen, he was a very highly touted player, was committed to USC, decommitted, ended up at Ohio State. It's not as though he can't play quarterback. So that's the big story. But the other big story, and again, I'm recording here just a day or 2 before Christmas, so stuff is changing. It's a little uncertain. Is Ohio State going to have all their dudes for this game? Because to me, I look at it, we just talked about Florida State, Georgia. Florida State is like angry, prove the world wrong. Georgia's kind of in that middle ground where they lost some guys. And I think Ohio State's kind of in that mix as well. Because Ohio State did lose 15, 16, 17 guys to the portal. But it sounds like all their dudes might play. We know Emeka Egbuka is playing. He's already said that. As I record, there is no word on Travion Henderson. There is no word on Marvin Harrison Jr. But I did think it was worth noting that Denzel Burke, the star defensive back, he in a press conference early right before Christmas said, we think all our guys are going to be there. So that's obviously something to keep an eye on. The money is coming in on Ohio State. And listen, we know who Ohio State is, even with a new quarterback. If all those dudes are playing, guess what? It's game on, because obviously the defense was elite this past season, top 5 in pretty much every major statistical category. The skill position guys are certainly there. The run game when Travion Henderson was healthy was phenomenal, but the quarterback play wasn't good enough. And so if Devin Brown is the dude that every Ohio State fan says he is, then I think there's a pretty good chance that they look good. They put up points. And oh, by the way, even if Marvin Harrison doesn't play in this game, doesn't it kind of have the vibe of the Rose Bowl 2 years ago, which doubled as Marvin Harrison's breakout game? Remember that game? No Garrett Wilson, no Chris Olave. So Marvin Harrison, it gets his first real playing time, and he has like 7 catches, including 3 touchdowns or whatever it was. Jackson Smith and Jigba, they beat Utah a lot. It was like 45-41 in that game. So even if Marvin Harrison doesn't play, could be a breakout game for Carnell Tate, for Brandon Inniss, for whoever. So I think it's kind of interesting. We kind of know who Ohio State is. We're not sure who's playing, but I'd also like to see some of those young wide receivers get some more reps. Would be very fascinated to watch that. From the Missouri perspective, I'll just say, like, we can make fun of Eli Drinkwitz, and trust me, everybody does. That guy, like, I think he did a heck of a coaching job this year. Remember, they were coming off, what, a 6-6 season. He got an extension. A lot of people thought Desiree Reed-Francois, the AD, was crazy giving him an extension. Thought he did a heck of a coaching job. And the thing that stands out to me about them is 2 things. One, they're very battle-tested. They play in the SEC. And I know the SEC was maybe a little bit overrated this year, but they played at Georgia. They played LSU at home. They played Tennessee at home. In the non-conference, they played a good Kansas State team. They played a Memphis team that was a factor in the AAC. So they've played a lot of really good competition. Beyond that, they're just a really balanced football team. They're a team that with Brady Cook had one of the best passing offenses in all of college football this past season. But then also Cody Schrader on the defensive side of the ball, Cody Schrader in the run game was elite as well. He was one of the best running backs in all of college football. So balanced on offense. I know that statistically the defense was not great, but I also think it is worth noting they did play 5 of the top 30 offenses in college football this year. LSU, you may have heard of them. They were pretty darn good. Georgia, Carson Beck, an elite offense this year, even though, as I just said, the run game was not great. Memphis, really good offense. Kansas State, really good offense. Tennessee, top 30 offense in college football. So they're battle tested. They've played a lot of, that's the thing that stands out. Not just good teams, but different styles. LSU throwing the ball all over the field. Georgia, kind of a balanced attack. Memphis, kind of more that passing. So I just bring it up because they played a lot of different teams, a lot of different types of styles. And as we head into this game, I think I like our guy, Eli. Now, by the way, I think the over should be very much considered here because I think they're going to be able to move the ball on that Ohio State team. But one thing about Ohio State, well, there's really 2 things. The first one with Ohio State, the defense was elite. I'm not taking anything away from them as far as that's concerned. But you look at the offenses that they played. Who is the top offense that they played all season long at Ohio State? Michigan finished barely in the top 70. Maryland finished at 57. I guess Western Kentucky would be it. So it's not to say that Ohio State's defense isn't good, but how many elite offenses did they play over the course of this season? Wasn't very many. Missouri is the 24th ranked total offense in all of college football. That is the best offense that they have played statistically all season long. So I think there is something to that. I think it's worth noting the Missouri defense, they ain't going to be intimidated by Devin Brown. Not when they've seen Jaden Daniels, not when they've seen Carson Beck, not when they've seen the Tennessee offense. So this is, in theory, the best offense that Ohio State has seen all year. Maybe the most dynamic, most balanced, whatever. Again, Missouri, by the way, is ranked. Where are they ranked here? I just want to make sure I have this right. In terms of total offense, Missouri is number 24 nationally. For comparison's sake, Maryland was 57, Michigan was 69, Penn State was 61. So it's an elite offense, and I don't know that Ohio State's faced anyone quite as dynamic, but then on the flip side, Missouri ain't going to be scared of that Ohio State offense when Ohio State's offense is on the field. The other thing, I'll be blunt. I'll say this. There's not many times in life that I am genuinely shocked by a reaction of a fan base, of a school, of a whatever. I am stunned the reaction of Ohio State fans over the last 3-4 weeks to that Michigan loss. Because while I will not sit here and say that Kyle McCord was great or even good in that game, he wasn't the reason that they lost, in my opinion. The 2 interceptions were crushing. I get it. But again, he's forcing throws in the final minute because his defense could not get off the field when they needed to when Michigan had the ball late in the game. And so you force Kyle McCord out. He takes all the blame. Ryan Day takes none of it. None of it's Ryan Day's fault. It's all on Kyle McCord. He's not the guy. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You know what that reminds me of? People forget this now. But a year ago, a lot of the stuff that people were saying about Kyle McCord, now they were saying about CJ Stroud going into that bowl game against Georgia. Remember last year in that semifinal, everyone thought Georgia was going to win because why? We thought CJ Stroud was soft. Oh, he's not good enough. He's not this. He's not that. Then CJ Stroud was like, screw you. And he balled out. And by the way, he's been balling out in the NFL the entire season. And so it's kind of wild because last year it was like, oh, I don't know if CJ Stroud's got that dog in him. Well, he's got the dog in him. Then Kyle McCord comes in. Well, Kyle McCord definitely doesn't have that dog in him. But Devin Brown, he's the guy. Devin Brown's the guy. He's the difference maker. And so it's like, to me, it just blows my mind. It's like, so basically what you're telling me is the guy that led you to an 11-1 season that beat out Devin Brown for the spot. No, he's not the answer. But the guy that could not take the job in fall camp in the first and second game, that guy is the answer. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Think about it. Devin Brown, in fall camp, there was talk that he was leading the quarterback battle, and that may have been true. But then he got put into the Indiana game. Didn't really do anything. Then he got put into the second game of the year. Didn't really do anything. And by the third game, Ryan Day was like, I got to roll with Kyle McCord because we got Notre Dame in 2 weeks from now. And so I just bring it up because I don't get why Devin Brown is suddenly the answer when he wasn't the answer 3 months ago. I know guys get better, but I don't get it. And so I'm fascinated by it. I don't understand the Devin Brown love. And if I had to make a pick, I like Missouri. I do think the over is going to be in play here, but I think Missouri wins probably like, what, 28-24, something like that. Is that the over? Yeah, that'd be over. That'd be 52. I think the over is probably the best bet, but I also like the Missouri money line. I don't understand the fascination with Ohio State and specifically Devin Brown. Maybe he proves me wrong. If he proves me wrong, go to the comment section and tell me how wrong I was next week, Ohio State fans. I just don't see it.